Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this special video, a Thursday video. What is happening? I know. I got something in my tiny beauty space that I had to come on camera and talk to you about. So this is going to be a very short, at least it's supposed to be. Keep yourself in check, Nicole. Don't get too wordy because I got something that I don't ever get. It is a brand new release. I don't really ever do this ever, especially with the content of my channel and my tiny beauty space. I don't usually buy the thing of the moment. However, so many of you guys tagged me on Instagram and let me know that you thought this color story for this brand new eyeshadow palette was really just speaking the Nicole language. You just thought the color story was so me, and you were right. Thank you for tagging me, or I would never have known about this, because as many of you know, I don't just go out and buy the latest and greatest. That's not really how I vibe with my channel. I don't feel like you need quantity. I just think you need quality. And I just couldn't help but decide I needed this palette. You guys were right. You were right. And so I'm completely leaning into this whole theme, hence the hat. How often have you ever seen me? I don't think I've ever been in a hat on my channel, but we're gonna lean into it for this Urban Decay Naked Wild West palette. Can we just? Oh my gosh, yes, I think the cover's giving you mermaid vibes though, right? I mean, is this supposed to be snakeskin maybe? I'm not 1000% sure, but I'm totally into it. If you follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, you can follow me right here. I definitely have tried this palette already. I actually did a reel on Instagram, a reel, and TikTok. I got a TikTok. I don't know. I'm like in my 30s. I think I'm not even young enough to say TikTok, but I got it. I got it because you guys would keep telling me you want to see more makeup, more stuff. So I'm gonna link below not only my Instagram like usual, but I'm gonna try to link my TikTok. Can you do that? God, I'm like asking a kid to open a PDF for me right now. My 30-something is showing. Whatever. We don't have, like I said, I'm totally leaning into this Wild West theme with a fun little hat, my little outfit today, and I'm gonna talk about this naked eyeshadow palette. I have not owned a naked eyeshadow palette in probably over a year. I did declutter some of the other ones that I did have. And I know what you're thinking now. You just said you decluttered them. Why did you buy another one? It's not because the quality wasn't great. It was because the color stories weren't things I was reaching for anymore. And I had friends and neighbors in my new area where I moved to that I was happy to gift those to brand new friends here in Florida because the color story wasn't really for me. It wasn't really going with my skin. And everyone else around me had the perfect skin tone for it. So I was like, oh, you need eyeshadow? Here. If you're in my life, I've probably in real life like been like, you need makeup? I got you, sister. I got you. If I thought you needed it, if you told me you needed it, I gave it to you. But I remember liking the formula. Yes, it's got a little bit of kickback to it, but super blendable, beautiful pigmentation. So when I saw this color story, I was like, you guys are right. This is totally up my alley. We've got warm tones, we've got some cool tones, but we also have those pops of blue and turquoise that you guys know I love. Hence the accessories today. And yes, I have already tried this palette because I did do, as I just said, a reel on Instagram and a TikTok. Actually, it was just the same video. I just tried to reformat it for TikTok. I'm still learning all this stuff, guys. Again, my 30 is showing. So I did a much more neutral brown toned look that day, and I used the colors Tex and Bud as my eyeliner. Today, I wanted to go a little out of my comfort zone and just do a bunch of different things. I just wanted to play with makeup. So this is actually kind of my second look this morning because I just kept piling makeup on and it performed beautifully throughout the entirety of the layering and the fading and the blending and all the things I did to my eyes this morning. Ah, this palette, it's really speaking to me right now. You guys are so bright. Today I started out with a couple of inspired looks that I saw on YouTube and on Instagram. Wanted to see what I could achieve with this palette. So this morning I actually started with a much more cool toned silver look. I started with the shade Standoff just for a nude base. As many of you know, I love to just start with a clean canvas but a nude powder. For me, that just works. Then I jumped into Laredo for the crease and kind of built it up. I kind of went higher up towards my brow just for some nice fanning and really seeing that purpley silver gray tone really shine. It was gorgeous. Then I put Nudie all over my lid because I still wasn't really sure where I wanted to go, but I knew I wanted to go a little out of the box and a little out of my comfort zone just to have some variety with this palette. I think I went into Pony Up first, which is this really nice gray purple tone. It's got some silver to it too. All of this color story flows so gorgeously together. I knew I could get a little crazy with it. So I definitely used that in the outer part of my big round eyes, built it up into the crease, lowered down just a bit, and then I went into Cowboy Rick. I put it on my finger and I put it all over my lids, and I was just like, wow, you really can get some versatile looks, because upon looking at this palette, you may just be seeing all of the warm tones and the pops of blue, but really, you can get cooler. You can get a little bit more disco ball with this, even though it's got this Wild West theme for you. I put Rustler underneath the eyes a little bit just because I wanted to start adding in some of that golden shade, because again, I was just playing, layering, adding things together to see, does this whole color story really just flow naturally? And I really think it does. It's really nice. Usually I find with some palettes, yeah, things are complementary, but they don't always flow together. These all flow really nicely with blendability and just the color story being able to kind of just go there. So again, I went there and I just kept adding on more makeup today, and I'm not even sorry I did. Because then I also just decided I wanted to play some more with the warmer tones. As a lot of you guys know, I am a warm toned lover, but I do now lean a little bit into both sides. So I went into Ghost Town and I really wanted to start kind of just working that into my crease to see what I felt next, where I felt like going with this palette, and it blended beautifully with all of the things already on my eyes. I did not, by the way, have any special primers on. I just did what I normally do, which had foundation and concealer already on my lids and some powder. I kind of wanted to mix silver and gold because I already had down that gorgeous Cowboy Rick shade, and I was like, what would it look like if I mixed silver and gold together? So I did. And I really like how my lids turned out with just some light dusting of the gold on top of it. Now these are all very pigmented, even the shimmer. So it's super impressive how things can lay together and not get chunky, not to start looking messy or muddy. Did some more blending in the crease, just making sure everything was smoothed out. And again, that was super simple. And then I wanted to just punch up that under eye because I was like, you know what? I'm definitely going to come on camera today and play with this and go full glam. So I put on the shade Tex under my lashes, and that was a beautiful shade. That's the shade I started with during that TikTok video I did where I put it along my lash line. I started there, but of course, there's more. I got a little brush wet and then I went into the shade Bud, and I really built up that under lash color and just gave it that extra punch. And then I took it all the way up front. I didn't put any of the Tex shade past about mid-eye. So everything under the front part of my eye is just the shade Bud, and it is beautiful. Like, that's gonna give me some mermaidy feels and looks this summer. I know it. Cowgirls can be mermaids. I'm pretty sure somewhere that's a thing. The gold shade Hold'em really did a great job, and so did Cowboy Rick. So the fact that they worked so well together on my lids, whew, it just shocked me. This is a gorgeous neutral palette. I am just really impressed with this. What I can say is if you dig your brush too deep into this, which you really don't need to, sometimes when I'm just trying to make sure you know which color I'm going for when I'm putting in the B-roll footage here of the try-ons, you can grab too much. So if you grab too much, you will have some dirty fallout, a little all over you, but nothing you can't work with. So definitely just go in very lightly with your brush. You don't need to do too many deep dips into this baby because it is super pigmented. I have yet to come across a shade in this palette that doesn't just come really gorgeously onto the brush and just smooth very easily over the lid. Today, like, my goal was to kind of get into the other shades that I hadn't yet, and now I think I have actually touched into every single shade in this palette from just the past 2-3 days of having this palette and playing with it. And these are all really consistent. Usually in a palette, I'll find 1 or 2 things that aren't my favorite, but as of this moment, I think they all perform really beautifully. And I know there's tons of videos right now out probably on this palette because, again, whenever there's something new and hyped up, it tends to get really saturated really quick on YouTube. So I don't want this video to be too lengthy. I don't want it to be too much. I just wanted to give you my thoughts because so many of you guys said you saw this online and you were like, that screams Nichole. I've got to tag her in this. So thank you. I appreciate you, little lady, because I am loving playing with this. I just took some time to do some swatches for you guys, and I can tell you everything seems really pigmented and really blendable. And I had seen a few reviews on this before I had gotten it. It was in the mail, it was shipping. Pretty much I ordered it the same day because you guys told me, you were like, this looks gorgeous for you. And I was like, you're right. Some people had said they didn't think the shade Pony Up got nearly as maybe dark as they wanted. Unless you're looking for a black tone, I thought this did a beautiful job really packing in a lot of punch in this outer part of my eye here, because I do like to deepen that side up a bit, just add some more dimension into my big round eyes. I almost had to like pull back a little bit and blend and fluff a little bit more because I thought it was really pigmented. It doesn't have a black, so if you're wanting a black, that's not what that is, and I'm okay with that. I can also say I think these shadows lasted on me all day without having to do any kind of major primers. I've done a few really good looks with these that I've been so proud of because I was just like, wow, this really blends. This is just really a color story that works well with my hair, my skin tone, the way I like to do makeup. And I think they last really well. I think they've lasted on me all day every time I've played with these. The color still stays really punched. You know what I mean? Like sometimes if you have like a gold or a blue, sometimes it tends to fade throughout the day. And of course, with wearing makeup and depending on your skin type and what you're doing all day, things can fade. But I've really not noticed, even though I'm a face toucher, that I've seen much change in what the way it looks from like morning to afternoon to evening, really. Now, I was talking to my YouTube friend SamBam89, and she was actually able in Canada to order this earlier, but she got her palette, I believe, the same day I did. But we were talking about it, and she actually reminded me that this color story is very similar to a Wet n Wild palette I used to have, and she really loves. It reminded her of the Wet n Wild Not a Basic Peach palette. It has a very similar color story. On her channel, she did a swatch off with the Not a Basic Peach palette from Wet n Wild and this, just to kind of see, because we both thought the color story was really similar. You can check out her video, I'll link it below for you. She pretty much determined, though, they're really not dupes. Even the colors are just that different that even though the color story looks similar and the layout maybe reminds you of it, it's not the same. I've also heard a similar thing with the Raw Beauty Christie ColourPop collab, that those colors and that story is very similar to this one. However, obviously the tones are a bit different in that, so they're not dupes either. At least from what I've heard. I don't have that palette. But I kind of thought that was really interesting. Oh, and one of you guys also said the Urban Decay Beached palette looked similar to this too, and you were curious if you needed this, if you had that. I don't have that palette, but what I can say is it looked like in those pictures that it had more blue tones, and these verge a little bit more on a green blue, not like a deep ocean blue. I'm looking at pictures of the Beached palette right now, and it looks like the shade Blaze may be a little bit of a nude pinky tone maybe, and the shade Heat Wave is more of a burnt orange verging on red tone. These aren't very similar to that. The closest you'd have to a red is Ghost Town here, and this is definitely more of like a brick orange with a brown undertone to it, so it doesn't have much red, and it's a matte. And the shade Double Dipped and Plunge are looking, I don't know if Plunge is green toned or blue toned, but from the pictures I'm seeing it looks more blue toned. The Beach palette looks like it has more like oceany blue, and these are a lot more like turquoise with a little bit of green hints in them. So I think that they're similar color stories, but they're definitely not the same shades. Just food for thought if you did have that palette, because I did have that question come to me in my Instagram, so I thought I would quickly address it. I'm just really impressed with all of these shades because these are obviously right up my alley and they just feed my creative soul. Golds, the coppers, the teal shades, not blue, because sometimes with a blue shade, I feel really limited with a blue, like a deep blue shade, because when we had that under eye look going where everybody had that like pop of blue underneath, I felt like that was the main way I like to use it. Yeah, I did use it on my lids sometimes, but that wasn't always something I gravitated to. So like with the turquoise, you can kind of dress it up by putting a little bit of Cowboy Rick over the top of it to really kind of dress it up and make it a little less intimidating for somebody who thinks color may be a little too bold for them. Really quickly, I'll show you. Right here is the shade Tex, and right here is the shade Bud. I'm going to take just a finger swatch of Cowboy Rick over the top of this. This one's the shade Tex, and then you can just really see how even just with one swipe, it really livens it up. If you go in with two, it even softens it more, gives it more of this silver reflective property, and it makes it much more seamless and less bold. And I'll do the same over here with Bud, even though this one's a little bit lighter and it's a shimmer anyway. As you can see, it just kind of lightens everything up to go with a lot of different skin tones. I feel like overall, what I could say about this palette for this very quick review is I have personally enjoyed playing with this. I really like the formula. Yes, there will be fallout. Go lightly in there with the brush. You don't have to go full ham in there with your brush. Take a light hand, blend it in, and it is gorgeous. But for me, again, this color story, you guys even let me know. You were like, this screams you, because you were right. This is my jam. This color story does scream Nichole, so thank you guys so much for letting me know about this palette, because I ended up doing something I hardly ever do, which is buy a new release. So I really wanted to come on here really quickly, show you how the shadows apply, give you my first impressions of having it for the first 3-4 days of it, and just let you guys see what my thoughts are. I really like it. Do you think you're gonna get this, or is this color story just not your jam? I totally get it. I'm personally looking forward to using this a lot this year. I can definitely see some fun looks for the still winter time frame, but also in summer, I can definitely see me playing with these even more. This is a $49 palette. Again, not something I usually do. I usually let Boxycharm bring me all of the good eyeshadow palettes that are expensive, but this one, I did just know that this color story was screaming to me, so I really wanted to play with it. I got excited looking at makeup again, and I thought that's so fun that I actually wanted to reach out and buy something. It is $49, so it is a bit pricier, so that's why I wanted to come on here and do a really quick review for you, just to give you something to kind of be able to look at, see how things apply, and give you my initial thoughts on having this palette. It is limited edition though, I am hearing that, but I don't know how limited edition, because I've heard that it's only going to be around for a while, but there's no like deadline, and I'm not sure, but I wanted to make sure you did know that and see some of this in action in case you were curious. Thank you guys so much for watching and playing with makeup with me on this random Thursday. I can't promise I'm going to go back to 2 days a week just yet, guys. I wish I could, but this is going to be a short, hopefully consumable video for you to see and me to edit. Thank you so much for watching, and if you happen to be new to my loud, weird, crazy, unique channel, hi new friends. I hope you take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of these fun, loud, weird, unique videos I do every single week. Bye, friends!